is the camera, anyway? Do you have a tally light on it so know where to look? So I just keep moving my head around just in case I get... at some point, I'll be on the right one. Do you want me to look at you? All right, hi. How are you doing? That's my American. I'm going to not do any more. That's the first slide. So this is about shooting season 2 of CNN's The Wonder List. Has anybody seen it yet? It's actually just finished on Sunday. There's one more episode to go, but it's been delayed because of some election stuff that has been going on forever. How long has it been going on for? It's awful, yeah. As an outsider, it's awful to watch. It's so boring, but entertaining at the same time. We are laughing, not with you. That's enough politics. So a little bit about, who was here at the talk last year? Anybody? Hi. How are you, Film Convert? Film Convert have a great discount right now, don't you? Get 25% off and 10% off with the code Bloom at gopb.co/filmconvert. There's a plug, why not? Well, lots of the stuff you'll see clips-wise that I've done myself are graded using that. So anyway, strangely, last year I was talking about season 1 of The Wonder List. So this year it's season 2. And if they bring me back next year, it'll be season 3. Maybe. Anyway, so the show, this is what we call band photos. You'll see a few of them within it. They're album covers for albums that we never released, but for episodes. It's a nice way of doing a crew shot that's... We actually put more effort into the crew shots than we do in the show, I think. Oh, I do. It's my number one concern. Everywhere I look, it's, where can we do our cool band photo? And they say, we need to do an interview now. I'm like, hang on a minute, though. What if we... So it's always like that. This was actually one of the favorite ones, and it was actually shot with a Pentax 645Z, not Z, medium format camera, which B&H loaned me, actually, for the show, and then I broke it so much they didn't want it back. But it was great, because somebody took the photo for me, and it was underexposed by 5 stops. So I thought this was a great moment. I looked at the photo, and it was black, literally black. And then I got into the edit, pulled it up 5 stops, clean. That's why I love that camera. So anyway, what is the show about? It's about going to places around the world which are amazing for different reasons, but the key thing is not a travelogue. We are going there because they're on the brink of change. It could be man-made, it could be nature. And the change, mostly it's not for the better, but there are some occasions where it's not for us to say whether it's for the better. I think a good example for that was one of our episodes, which I think was the opening episode of season 1, which is in Vanuatu, which is this magic paradise in the South Pacific that's perfect desert islands. Now it's been commercialized. Now we will think that that's bad, but they want it because they want money. So it's not for us to say you shouldn't have that. So that's what I mean. It's like, but it's not. They're like little time capsules in a way, and that's how I approach it. That's why I want to shoot it as well as we possibly can. I think a good sum up is actually the opening titles. This is the opening titles of season 2. So hopefully this will play, and you will have audio too.
My name is Bill Weir, and I'm a storyteller. I have reported from all over the world, and I have seen so much change. So I made a list of the most wonderful places to explore right before they change forever. This is the Wonder List.
So I mean, the whole point of anything is to sum it up in a short period of... It's like when you pitch a film. If you can't sum it up in a sentence, then it's too complicated. And the same with each show. So it is about places which want to bring a change. And there's a lot... Anybody know how many countries there are in the world? You sure? You just Google that? You want to Google it? Somebody Google it for me. There's a lot of countries. And there's places... Obviously, there's more than one place in each country you can go to. And we always do an episode in the States. So we always do what's called a domestic episode. But I was approached to do the show almost 2 years ago now. And literally Bill emailed me and saying he likes my work, really likes my work, wants to work with me. This is the show. Do you fancy coming for a chat? So I did. I went to New York, talked about it, and it was literally like, it wasn't like 186 countries. You're like well out. Yeah. That's fine. You know, it's fine. Anyway, so they wanted me to shoot it, and I said, well, what do you want it to be like? And they said, it's up to you, which is fantastic to have that sort of opportunity. And I wanted it to be very, very simple, one word, and it is cinematic. I like this one. It's a cool photo, so I'm just going to leave that up for a bit, so just to make the most of that. This is me hanging out the side of a helicopter over Iceland with the free-flying Movi M5 and a Sony A7S. So I've got some very cool stuff. So did lots of drone stuff there as well, but anyway. So cinematic, can anybody define? Just shout out words. What is cinematic? You won't hear it on the microphone because you're not mic'd up, but I'll hear it. Cinematic. Huh? Fluid? Like a bad curry? Okay. Fluid is cinematic. Okay. That's not heard that one before, but okay. Any other words? Throw them out there. A blur, only if it's out of focus. Yep. Anything else? Anything? And what? Impact. What, like 24 frames? Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, progressive, 24 frames. Anything else? Style, story. There's so many things. It's a visually. For me, I think this image kind of sums it up. Sort of, I want it to look epic. I want it to look as much like, you know, the really beautiful films that you can see. I'm not about fast-cutting type shooting. I'm about seeing a shot and letting it develop. But, you know, I'd love to shoot in a sort of a David Lean style with sort of 70mm epic shots that last 2 to 4 minutes of just a static frame and let everything happen slowly within it. But it won't work for American TV because you'll get 2 shots in before they go into a break. So that wouldn't really work. So cinematic, it does mean many things. Fluid, I'm not sure about fluid. No, fluid's a weird, not one of those, not a good word. No. Gear, this is a piece of gear. This is the Rhino slider, which is the Evo slider with the Rhino motion on it, which is fantastic, and I use that. Actually, my Pentax is on that. I was doing a time-lapse, a medium format 51 megapixel time-lapse, which took about 7 days to process. But gear, is gear cinematic, though? Lots of gear does not make things look more cinematic. Does not make things more cinematic. Yes, not bad English. It can help, though, for sure. It's one of the things we talk about within this is that it can't be a distraction. It needs to enhance, not get in the way. Anything you use needs to enhance, not getting in the way. So season 2, the main changes. Those are all our band photos from season 2. We had 7 episodes, but one of the episodes had 2 countries in it, so we did one for each of it. So the main changes for season 2. The most important thing you need to do when doing another series is improve. So we had to look at how we could improve the show. This is actually my favorite band photo. This is, anybody know where this is? It's not hard to work out where this is. Yeah, you guys will be allowed to go there soon properly. And this is what I like about photography, is that you can capture so much in one frame. There's so much in there. It shows poverty, it shows commercialism, it shows, you know, key figures, it shows cigars, it shows really cool English people with hats, and it does a lot in that. It's just a really good spot. And then we've actually gotten on our last day in Cuba, so it was like panic mode at this point. We hadn't got the band photo, and I was really worried. So improving the show. I'm never happy with what I've done, which I think is a semi-healthy thing to have. I think, you know, I think hating everything you do is not healthy. I think not being completely happy is good because it always makes you want to do better. So there was a number of things that I felt could be improved. One of them was I felt we needed more time. So we ended up having less episodes, 6 episodes instead of 8, but more time. We initially had about 5 to 6 days max, mostly 4 or 5 in season 1 per episode to shoot, which is hard work. And we had more or less double that. So I ended up having 66 shoot days to shoot the 6 episodes. Doesn't include the travel days, which add on about 14 or 15 days of traveling on top of that. So one of the things I wanted, stipulations, was to have a London-based assistant. Not somebody who I'd meet on location, somebody who would come to my house and help me with the gear, go to Heathrow, travel with me, and do all that. I had 3 here. There's Holly, who did 2 of them. 3 of them. Julian, who did 2, and Jack, who did 1. Normally it's just one person who each time they can't last more than 1 episode with me and they move on. But they came back for more, some of them, which was nice. But they're all great, and Holly hopefully will come on board for season 3. She was the main one. Post-production I felt had to be improved. One of the key things was we didn't have a colorist in the first series. It wasn't budgeted for, so it was a problem because we shot 7 different camera formats, and I shot log for most things, so it needed grading. And this, as you can see here, Holly's holding an X-Rite color checker passport, which we did for every camera and every place, so it helped the colorist. That was important. I'll talk about the other improvements as we go through, but the time was so important because it gives, when you're shooting a documentary, you can have things set up. I think most stuff was set up in the first series, almost everything, and that gives you no time for organic journalism, finding people. The most interesting stuff is often the stuff you find yourself. So that's why we needed more time. I've already talked about this, gear. Gear is going to pop up quite a lot in here because some of the gear was key to the look of it. Hence, there was a lot of gear. A lot of gear. Doesn't always make it cinematic. Here's my gear. And this is on the border between Bolivia and Peru. Yeah, pretty much most of that is actually mine. I think 2 or 3 of those bags are the other guys. Most of it is mine. Here, let me just go through how much gear I had. Gear does not make things more cinematic. Just let you know that. Sony FS. This is my gear, not the other guys. CNN had their own gear. They had another FS7, A7S, and other bits and pieces. This is just my gear. One FS7, an A7S 2 when it came out, which was the last 3 episodes. A7R2, which is down here on the floor. A7S on the Freefly Movi or the Helix Junior. So I mixed and matched with them. There's reasons why. 1DC is my backup camera. My go-to camera when everything fails, because it's a beast and always works. But I use it mostly for time-lapse. These are the drones we used. The Phantom 3 and Inspire 1 from DJI. My beloved Pentax 645Z, which weighs, with the lens I had it, about 5 kilos. I don't know what that is in American. But it's around my neck, and it's part of the reason why I'm half a cripple these days. But worth it. 3 tripods. 1 video tripod for video, and 2 stills for sort of like a second angle or something, but mostly for time-lapse. Audio. No sound recordist. No sound recordist. Audio is so important. I'll talk about that in a minute. The Rhino Evo motorized slider, which actually, first time I used it was on the first episode of season 2 in Iceland, and it was brilliant. Very small lights. So that, I'd love to bring a full lighting kit, but a full lighting kit for me is like 2 big flight cases. And so, most of the stuff we're using is mostly available lights. So the Cineo Matchbox lights were the key lights we used. Lots of batteries, lots of media and hard drives, lots of bags. That's my stuff. So I think I was traveling with 7 checked bags, sometimes 8, plus 3 carry-ons, and one of them the assistant would carry. So it's a lot of stuff. And it is by far the worst part of the job. This is at Gatwick Airport. This is, that's all my stuff there. And the reason why that's happening there is this was coming back from Vegas, actually. Last time I was in Vegas was September after finishing the Colorado River episode, and my assistant had flown back a day earlier. So I flew back on my own, the only time I flew back on my own. And so I looked after the gear myself, and I pulled my back, checking in the luggage. And by the time I got to London Heathrow, I couldn't walk. Literally couldn't walk. So I was wheelchaired off, and that happened. And I had 10 days to be able to walk again to do the next episode, because I'm freelance. I can't not go. I'm freelance. So that's the downside of freelance. This is my travel, if you want to know what it looks like. So London to Reykjavik, and then back again. I would use the Indiana Jones music, but I don't think we have copyright clearance. No. Bet a lot of you don't even know the world is that big. I know. That's Bhutan, back to India, back to London, down to Johannesburg, over to Namibia, to Botswana, And then back home, yay, that was December. Oh no, then I had to go to New York in January to do some more stuff, and then we're finished. There we go. So it's quite a lot of stuff. People ask, how much planning do we do? I don't do any of the planning. So that's all done by the producers, thank God. I hate producing. I'm a creative. I let somebody else do the organizing and the permits and all that sort of stuff. But planning for shots, no. No, I don't. It's a case of turning up and making it work, which I love. Nothing better than going somewhere and making it work, because that's exciting. That's probably why I love documentaries more than I like working on fiction, because I am not a planner at all. Key tools. This actually photograph was taken with that 360 camera that we saw a minute ago. This is using how cool is that photo? I ask people, how did I get that photo? People say, I know, drones. But then no. Then I said, it's the 360 camera. And then they were asking, where is it? I can't see it. And somebody actually seriously said, is it on the prop? You know how fast those move, right? Anyway, it's in my hand. It's on not a selfie stick. It's on an extension pole there. And it's about 4 foot out, only about 4 foot out, maybe less than that, 3 foot. And it's warped the image to make it look like that. That wasn't the key tool. It's just a nice picture. The two key cameras were the Sony FS7 and the Sony FS7. What's the best B camera for a Sony FS7? People ask me. And I go, a Sony FS7. Of course it is. You're having the same camera totally matches. Obviously, there's other cameras you can use. Why do we use the FS7? It does super slow motion, which we want to use. 4K, if we want to use 4K. Great dynamic range, very good documentary camera. Started using the F55 in the first series and switched to the FS7 because it made more sense. As we were going to some quite difficult areas to film, and I didn't want to have a $50,000 camera set up to get trashed. I'd rather have one that costs around $8,000 or $9,000. The A7S, and that was on the Helix Junior, or the Free Fly. The Helix Junior is the one on the left, which is what I really liked about the Helix Junior, is you can put it down between shots, and it can be set up I use a Porter brace bag. It's all set up, ready to go, which is great. I prefer the Movi M5 for general use. It's more reliable, more stable, and I use the Movi ring, and it means you can rest it on yourself and doing long. So I've been in a canoe for 4 hours with it. It's a really lovely device. So I really love my, but I take them both these days because there is definitely a use for both of them. Audio. No sound recorder. So you can see I've got a little Rode VideoMic Pro. That's really just Atmos. It's not real audio. I mean, even in this shot here, I'm actually doing the audio. So we mix it, but it's going straight into the camera. I'm missing a key part of audio gear in that. Can you tell what it is? Headphones, yeah. So I'm not. It's Bill Weir, the host, is doing an interview in the water at that moment. So I'm doing some audio. So I was on the Movi, and Julian's one of the producers. He's on the FS7, and he's getting some stuff. And so when I was on the Movi, he was holding the boom, and when we were using his camera, I was holding the boom. And that's me resting the Movi in my hand whilst doing that. So it's not easy. And it isn't great. I did a BBC documentary in Africa on Mo Farah, the runner, which is going out on BBC One, I think, in July. And I didn't have an assistant, but we had a sound recordist, and the sound was magnificent. So sound is important. We did our best. I do a lot of extra recording of audio. It's mostly radio. It is all radio mics, pretty much, going into the cameras, and shotguns on the cameras themselves, and occasionally the boom for that. But it's a compromise. We don't have enough people to have sound recorders. I would love one. So people say, why doesn't the assistant do sound? Or the assistant's doing assistant jobs, so you can't do them both. Anyway, lighting. I talked a little bit about this before. It was available light for 99.5% of the show. So you still have to think about light. It doesn't mean lighting isn't the ISO button. That's not lighting. Oh, yeah, turn it up. It's a bit dark, turn it up. It's where's the light? Okay, so there's the light. So we put them here, put them there. So when we're doing interviews, it's 3 cameras. And so we have an interviewee, Bill, and there's a wide shot. What shot needs to be the best lit out of those 3? Interviewee, Bill, or the wide? Interviewee, because that's the person you're listening to. They'll be on the most. So you look at the best light for them, and then you work out where Bill can be, which won't always be as good. And then the wide shot, which for me, it tends to always be symmetrical as much as possible. And sometimes it's on the slider, and sometimes it's just static. But really, we did do some indoor stuff with lights, but lighting for 3 cameras is very tricky without the proper rigs and stuff. But we made it work. And I think it looks pretty good. So I've learned to harness light from working in news for 17 years. So I know how to light things naturally and harness it as much as possible. But in an ideal world, sure, I'd like to take all my lights with me, but there's no time. We use drones. Actually, only for 2 of the episodes because of laws and permits and stuff. It's really difficult. A lot of countries are just, no. The office will try and negotiate and try and make it happen, but sometimes you can't. It's a shame. You have to. You have to go with the laws. There's no point sneaking it in after you've been told no, and filming because you've broken the law, and then if you put it out, it's like going to rob somebody, getting away with it. Break into their house, steal all their stuff, go home, and go, nice. I'm going to put up that video I made of me doing it. If you're going to break the law, don't publish. So you just have to stick with it, which is a shame, of course, that you can't fly drones everywhere. And it doesn't help that, actually, I live in Richmond in London, and I think 3 days ago, there was a drone took off from Richmond Park that hit a plane coming into land, which doesn't do good things for the image of drones, particularly. Of course, the plane won out of that battle. Mind you, there's a couple of drones here which are so terrifyingly big, I'm not sure that would be the case. But if it's a Phantom, it's like swatting a fly. It doesn't matter. So going back onto gear, so I call them toys. We call them toys. Should we use the toys? What toys should we use? It's the right amount, and you mustn't overuse them. It's like the Movi. You could film everything on a Movi, but you have to ask the question for all of these things is why? Why should we use the Movi here? Never ever think of shots to use your gear with. Think of shots and then think, this gear would be good for that. That's much better. If you start thinking of how can we do a continuous 8-minute take here where we could go through things and pass things around, you have to ask yourself why. Why do you want to do that? Is that helping tell the story? No, it's not. So that's the case. And the same with drones. Drones give an incredible angle, and they are by far the most exciting development in filmmaking in a decade, easily. Way better than resolution and anything else, because it's a camera that you can put in angles and get shots, and you could never, ever consider anywhere else. I mean, that's a photo from the Inspire 1 in Iceland. And, how else would I get a shot like that? A helicopter. But helicopters, we did use helicopters for the episodes where we had no drones, and you get nice aerials, but that's all you get aerials. That's not what drones are about. You can do aerials, but they're about the dolly shots where you can't lay a dolly track, the jib shot, which is impossible because it's over water, or the shot that looks like it's a helicopter that becomes like, oh, that's clearly not a helicopter. So I'm going to show you a couple of clips because you've heard me talk long enough. That's Inspire 1, and that's me operating Inspire 1. This is key. I am framing that shot, and there's my spotter. So, so she's always keeping an eye on it, and I am mostly looking at there, but every now and then I glance down at the shot. Ideally, you need 3 people to do this, but I don't have a sound recordist either. Anyway, here's a couple of clips. I'm not sure which is first. Let's find out. Oh yeah, this is just natural sound, by the way, not recorded by the drone, because the drone makes the bzzz. And this is all in Iceland. So I think, so I think you can see what I'm talking about there. I mean, the sound was actually, that's not the sound, that edit was done by myself and graded with Film Convert. And the sound was actually from freesound.org, which is a great resource online to just getting those things. I just did, there is a full edit online of all my nicest shots from Iceland, but it has music. It has natural sound in it as well, but I did put a little chunk up with just natural sound, and it actually kind of works better. But you see from the shots there, they're not helicopter shots at all. They're close shots. There's a very controlled. The drone should still be a shot, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Where is the start of the frame? What you're trying to do? Is there motivation for the drone? There is motivation in all of those shots. So I just go around build. It's like a jib shot to reveal the waterfall. And then, of course, there's one of my favourites, which is the big Bill walking along the beach and then go around. And he picked up and tossed the stone without direction. It's just, that's a great thing, is you work together long enough and, he knows what's needed. And so, but I think my favourite of the drone shots is what opened the Iceland episode, and I'll play that now. It was just one of those things that, again, wasn't planned. These shots all come up when we're shooting. So I was flying on this glacier, which is where they filmed part of Interstellar. And I didn't see Matt Damon, so I would have avoided him anyway, because he's bad in it. Is that a spoiler? Probably. People have seen it by now, anyway. So I'm going to play it for you. This is probably my favourite shot I've ever done in my life, so that's a big thing to say, isn't it? It's not the favourite. It's only if you say, I will never do a better shot than that. I wouldn't say that, but it's my favourite shot so far. And this is the Inspire one. And the original shot, I think, is a little bit longer than this, so they cut in a little bit later. I had no idea they were going to use it all, and they used it, which was great.
It feels like a different planet, with a whole different logic. A place of frozen warmth and colorful darkness. A place settled by pillaging brutes, now run by peaceful feminists. A harsh place where people live long, happy lives, have little poverty or crime, and a take on relationships that may just blow up everything we know about love and marriage. Welcome to Iceland. A place so strange, so sublime, it can't possibly stay this way. Can it?
Thank you. That's the opening of the show. So another one of my Pentax shots. I did so many of these. So I'm just going to show you how you can use this. Is and you could see how I really love that opening shot anyway. But this is just showing how you can use both together. So I'm just going to play it. You've seen the start of this shot anyway. I'm going to play it and talk over it a little bit anyway.
It's no wonder that Iceland has inspired everything from Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones. The place just looks more dramatic than most. So maybe it's understandable that in this land of the sagas, strange rocks and wondrous light give rise to odd belief.
As legend has it, two giant trolls were stealing a big fishing ship here one night, and they were so distracted by hauling in their booty, they didn't notice that dawn was breaking. The light hit them, they were turned to stone. But what's interesting is that for many Icelanders, these stories are not stories. Even though this country is highly educated, something like half of Icelanders actually believe in trolls and fairies and hidden people who live in the rocks.
So you can see the whole series, I think, on demand if you have cable. So let me just get to a next frame. But it's talking about using it the right way. So if you do, I think in the first season there was too many walk and talk interviews, And I think I was a lot firmer in the second season about what we should do. You try editing a walk and talk interview, especially as the second camera is somebody on a FS7 trying to walk with you and do a tight. Good luck. It's not easy. So tend to do. Also, I think walk and talk should be about showing something rather than just walking. It's all great. It's great when the king of walk and talks. The Aaron Sorkin stuff at the West Wing, fabulous walk. They only ever talked when they walked. It was always dynamic, and characters would come in and leave and stuff like that. It needs to be done for a reason. So it needs to be not necessarily showing stuff, but at least be talking about what we're seeing around them. I remember we did one in India. We did a walk and talk, and it was probably the point where I was like, we need to stop doing these, because we walked, and then we ran out of places. We ran into a dead end, and we were like, there's nowhere else to walk to. We're in a wall here. So we start turning around and then walking backwards, which shows that you should stop doing that. So, talking about walking, so one of the things we did do was having the experience of shooting the first season. We did a lot of promos when we were out there, and this is one that was shot. It's not a new concept. It's walking promo, just walking through the different countries. So I'll just play that now for you. But one thing we did do in this, if you want to know technically, is Bill walked at 70 beats per minute every time he did it. We used a metronome app on the iPhone so he could keep in time. The reason being, it means the edit is easier. And he did specific moves which flowed from shot to shot. So again, to put his hat on and off again and do different things. So I didn't know which order they were going to be when it came to the edit, but just so I knew I had that option of, rather than just him just walking straight, looking ahead, I wanted him to do things that could flow. You'll see it anyway. Here we go. That was handy having that in the elevator lobby, their logo. 4K or not 4K? That is the question. What's that from? It's not from Shakespeare, 'cause it's not what he said. This is actually a frame from the A7R2. No, it's a photo that's cropped. 42 megapixels, so as long as you get it in focus, you can crop well. And this is a Marshall Eagle eating a negrite claw, it was pretty epic, and the video looks fantastic as well. Did we shoot 4K? I shot 4K for all my B-roll, apart from the super slow motion, which only does HD in the camera, because I couldn't bring myself to shoot HD in these places. Once you've shot 4K, it's hard to shoot HD, but it's not a 4K mastered show. So the BBC show that we shot in February, we shot 4K for an HD edit, but to be potentially remastered in 4K, so it's future-proof. This is not future-proof. I would love to shoot 4K, but at the moment it's still, it's not the fact that they're not broadcasting 4K. It's just, I think it's a great thing to have because I think it would sell really well because there's not a lot of 4K content out there, but we didn't. But I shot pretty much everything 4K apart from interviews. And people will think, oh, why didn't you shoot interviews 4K so you can crop? Well, it doesn't matter. We've got 3 cameras on it, so we're fine anyway. And super slow motion. I would love to shoot the next series 4K, but I don't think we will. This is the boring stuff, but important. Managing the data and kit. This is my battery charger case I made, using it just to carry on. And so I just put in all my chargers for all my batteries. Now, before I had this, I'm thankfully I don't actually do the charging myself anymore. The system does that. But otherwise it's a bag with the chargers in. And you pull it out, and there's spaghetti of stuff, and it's a nightmare. And sometimes we're moving every single night. I think only in Iceland we stayed in the same place. everywhere else we pretty much moved constantly. So I just bought that, and there's chargers for AA7S, two 1DC chargers, two Sony NPF big chargers for the monitors. That's the FS7 double charger. That's a Canon 5D charger. Batteries for the small HD monitors. There's another Canon 5D charger. There's the Movi charger. There's another A7S double charger, Pentax double charger, the RX100 charger, and another FS7 charger. The drone ones are not in there, so it's a lot of chargers. With the two, it works well though. You just open it up. I don't know what like the TSA or the equivalent think when they look at that, but there you go. So it's, but it works. And I have a Kickstarter campaign going right now, and you can buy that. Not the chargers, just the case for $1,000, and it will ship in probably around February 2018. So please sign up for it. That's a joke, by the way. It's called Sarka. I'm not really doing that. I'm not overcharging for my case. It's just a crappy case. I'm actually I'm redoing it into a soft case because it's a bit too big. So anyway, but this is really important stuff. Is how we back up the footage. How do you back up footage? It's the worst thing, media managing. Depends on the format helps if it's not too big, but it's still a massive pain. So the first thing I have is a lot of cards. I do not format my cards each day. I have enough cards for 3 to 4 days of filming, which is a lot of cards. So on the FS7 I have, I think, about 14 64 gigabyte XQD cards. And I have about 30 odd SD cards of up to 128 gigabytes, which is more than I need, but I have loads of those. And the reason being is I just want them, if there's a mistake and we don't realize it, we're missing something, we can go back and find it. We've only ever lost one thing, and that was on our first ever episode we filmed in Greece. And it was a card that wasn't backed up. And they asked me if I had it. Unfortunately, they asked me 3 months after the shoot when they were editing it. Do you have a card we're missing? I'm like, I will go through them, but I'm pretty certain I would have gone over that one by now. I don't have 3 months worth of cards, about 3 to 4 days. So I, or my assistant, backs up all the cards onto one hard drive. We will then copy that stuff onto the second hard drive from our hard drive. But then we give all the cards to Julian, the producer, who does it independently. He doesn't take the hard drive. He has to do them himself, because if we've missed a card and he takes our hard drive, he will miss a card too. And then we compare folder sizes the next day. It seems to be a foolproof system. He does 2 copies, we do 2 copies, and so far we haven't missed anything. So it is a pain. Data managing is a pain. There was nothing nicer than shooting on tape, because that was it. Anybody here ever shot tape? Quite a few of you. Okay. Did you, when you shot tape, did you then go back to the hotel, wherever it is, and do a copy of it? No, silly. So it's. I remember the first time I think I shot something on the, which camera was it? I think it was EX3 with the 35mm adapter, Letters 35mm adapter. It was a job for an LA production company and a documentary. And it's the first time this guy had shot with tapeless, file-based media, and he was paranoid about not having it. So copied the stuff, and he wanted me to burn it to Blu-ray as well, to then ship it back to the production company each night. I did it, I think, one night. I tried it, and you can imagine how slow it was. And I was like, dude, I'm up all night doing this. This is ridiculous. And so we ended up compromising, like, okay, so all right, make 3 copies, but I don't want them all to be in you to always have them. I want them to be split amongst the crew. Really? Why? Just in case. It feels like a little bit like some of those terrible movies where they have, for the safety of the world, we keep one part in the North Pole, one part in the South Pole, in case anything happens. That's my sort of, once you've got used to file-based media, it's fine. And it's nice. It's nice to take a card out of a camera and stick it in the side of your laptop and look at your shots. Can't do that with tape. So that's how we back up. But yeah, it's. I'm trying to think how much footage we actually have per episode. It's a lot more in the second series. It helps. Well, we do a lot more because our B camera is an FS7. Previously, it was a C100, which shoots AVC HD, which is a very compressed format. So they could shoot the whole series on pretty much one 128 gigabyte card, almost. So I think 3 terabytes on average And I think the most we shot was about 4 terabytes, which is, it doesn't sound that much, but we're not shooting RAW. You know, the biggest format we're shooting is XAVCI in 4K, which, you know, it can add up. I think on average it was about, it's really, I can't remember exactly how much we shot. You know, things like the Phantom and the Inspire don't take up much space at all. I wish they did. I wish it took up a lot more space, but they're very compressed, so it doesn't take up much space. The GoPros don't take up much space. The A7S and the A7R2 don't take up much space. It's just the FS7 is the one that's the hungriest, really. So we just use Western Digital, the, what they call them, MyDrive, I don't know what they're called. The little passports, I think they're called. And they're great. You know, I don't think I've had any failures, but there's always copies, so it's fine. So it's one of the, people ask, it must be an amazing experience shooting this. I'm like, it is, except I don't realize it until much later. And I don't realize what I've seen until much later, because I am always thinking about what's coming up next to shoot, the next shot, whilst I'm filming that shot. I never look at it with my eyes, just my eyes, because if I'm not filming, I'm taking photos. Well, so, which is all right. You know, I love my photography, so it's fine. But it is amazing, and it's one of these things you just wish you'd just sort of could take it in a little bit more. I think it's such long days, and it is very, very hard. I think we didn't shoot consecutively, but we did do only two episodes back to back, which was 4 weeks of filming solidly. And that was the Bolivia, Peru, and Colorado River. And 4 weeks of shooting every day without a day off is really, really hard work. And that was the one where I ended up breaking my back at the end, no surprise. So that's why you got to ask, you know, was it worth the stress of all the bags and everything else? Because there's nothing easier than shooting a documentary with one camera. A nice 2/3 inch broadcast camera with a nice big zoom lens. This is what I did for 17 years. And those are easy, very easy. This is difficult. It's hard work. It's really hard work. But I think it pays off. I think the end result is totally worth it. And I was asked yesterday, now that you've done, all these episodes, have you been bringing less stuff? And I'm like, I think I've been bringing more because of new toys come out. I'm like, I'm now bringing 2 stabilizers, for God's sake. Not 1, 2. And so, I always bring 2 drones. Why do I bring 2 drones? Huh? In case one crashes, yeah. No, not in case one crashes. No. Actually, the reason I bring 2 drones, I bring the Inspire and the Phantom 3, because the Inspire works well in bad conditions and bad wind, but the Phantom 3 is nice and nippy to nip through things and stuff like that. But yeah, mostly because just in case, if you buy a drone, you have to have the mentality of knowing that at some point it will crash. That's the sad truth of it. That's why you shouldn't spend all of your money in investing in one drone and get a business, because it could all go horribly wrong. I'm not saying it's your fault, but things do happen. And so it's important to have this sort of things. And I do have a lot of backups. So, too many hard drives, not too many hard drives, too many batteries, and too many primes. I don't really use many primes these days. Not for documentaries. It's almost all zooms. On the FS7, I use the Metabone Speed Booster and the normal Metabones version 4 with Canon glass mostly, because I like the ability to have the full frame look and the Super 35mm look. 1635, 2470, 70-200 is the standard 3 lenses. And the only time I use primes is for nighttime, low light, so I've got the fast ones. So that's really, I should cut back on my lenses. I bring all my Sigma Art lenses and God knows how many other things. On the A7S, on the gimbal, I use Sony glass, 1635 native FE, for autofocus. I have nobody pulling focus. And autofocus is one of those things I never thought I'd use, but it works okay on the A7S and the A7S II. It works brilliantly on the A6300, but it's not a great camera for rolling shutter, and it's only crop sensor. But the autofocus on that is mind-blowing. It tracks so well, beautifully. But I'm sure Sony will bring out an A7S III soon. Not at this show, they won't. It's not even due to the end of the year, probably. But autofocus is one of those things I didn't think would work well. The 1DX Mark II from Canon is incredibly good. I got to play with that in Sweden recently. And that touch tracking of things is is astonishing. The only problem I found with it was when it was tracking something and the person would leave the frame or something, it would then automatically rack to infinity unless you press the focus lock button at the end. So if you want a gimbal, unless you need a remote that has that sort of focus lock button, I don't know if there is one for that camera. There is for the Sonys, so it does the same thing. It's a focus, so it's focus hold. So I've got 13 minutes, so I'm going to play one last clip and then I'll take questions. This is a promo that was used. From the first 2 episodes, it was shot in Peru and Iceland. You get to see some Peru stuff because it isn't going out on Sunday, sadly, because of the election. But you get to see some of my nice aerials from Peru.
Try to climb that, and I may die.
I've got lots of behind-the-scenes stuff on my YouTube and Vimeo pages, so do check those out. I did something called Behind the Shot for each episode, and I talk about a particular shot, and it's always very silly, because that's me. Anyway, you can see the episodes on demand, CNN Go. And sadly, I don't know when it's going out, the Peru episode. The next series is scheduled to shoot quite soon. So, very soon, actually. So I have no idea exactly where they're going, but we'll soon find out. So this looks like another video here. What's this? Don't even know. Oh, I played a behind-the-scenes, one clip of it. There we go. This is the Peru episode.
The stairs in anticipation for this. I didn't climb enough. My goodness.
To be able to film in the places that we go to is an immense privilege. These places are bucket list places, and nothing is more bucket list, really, than Machu Picchu in Peru.
Hey, there goes our stuff.
That's our stuff.
So are we gonna get in or just our bags? Ah, beautiful.
It's iconic, it's incredible. And we did some lovely stuff there, some time lapse.
Some walking movie shots, but one thing we couldn't do there is we weren't able to fly drones. You have certain regulations that you have to abide by to be able to fly responsibly. So we didn't fly there. But we were able to get permission from the local authorities to fly in other parts of Peru.
It's incredible from the ground, but when you get up high and look down, it's amazing.
So surreal. And imagine for kids who live in a neighborhood like this, when Philip Bloom comes to town and flies his drone, they're going to be talking about you for generations, man.
We obtained permission to shoot over the Incan ruins at Cusco and at Pisac, 2 other very iconic sites in Peru.
You know, you need to see these sort of Incan ruins from above to get a sense of just how epic the scale of them are. I saw that when we were in Cusco. As soon as I went straight up and then turned and looked down, it was just mind-blowing. It was, wow, these guys, how did they make these perfect patterns of these buildings? It was incredible. Pisac blew my mind. We got some wonderful stuff, very much, in a way, similar to Machu Picchu, just without the people. There's hardly anybody there. There's one shot where I just flew over it towards this beautiful light and this incredible city. I was just so excited. On the journey drive back to the hotel, just looking at the shots that I got from Pisac, it was just one of the greatest filming experiences you could possibly have.
Thank you very much.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.